The Fancounters Celebrity Podcast, number 156. Coming to you from nowhere near the entertainment capital of the world, this is the Fancounters Celebrity Podcast.
You were like the carrot top of interviewers.
Wow, how disappointing was that question?
You did not just ask me that.
It's a very big question.
Never mind, I'm done. I'm not doing the show.
Wow, I can't believe it.
I'm telling you, I'm hooked.
Nick.
Yeah, he's so awesome. He's a good friend of mine.
Welcome to the Fancounters Celebrity Podcast. My name's Nick.
And I'm Tracy.
And Tracy brought the guest this week.
I sure did.
I'm glad that you're doing some legwork here, pal.
Hey, I'm happy to help.
You got to carry your weight if you're going to be on the show.
That's a lot, too.
I told him that. You can follow us on social media. If you go to Instagram, subscribe to @FanCountersLive. You can email me. If you want to talk to me and Tracy directly, if you've got a guest that you want to hear on the show, send it along to hello@fancounters.com. We are on Facebook, big Facebook group there, if you search Fan Counters. And I'm excited about the show this week because I know that we have listeners all around the world. I get that. But what we're going to do today is talk to somebody who's got a job that only 29 other people besides this person have.
That's very rare.
It is very rare. So you found somebody extremely rare for us to chat with today. And I will let you tell us about him.
And he's only one of 3 people to ever hold this position for the Milwaukee Brewers.
There you go. So what is he?
He is the in-park announcer for the Milwaukee Brewers at Miller Park. His name is Mark Richards.
And how did you meet Mark?
I actually met Mark back in my early days working in radio, which is exactly the same time that Nick and I met.
That's true.
So I was working for FM 106 as a promotions guy, and I worked with Mark a few times, so it was pretty cool.
Excellent. Now, Mark, yep, like Tracy said, he's the PA announcer for the Brewers. We're going to get a behind-the-scenes look at what that job does, what it entails, and some surprises that you might not think that they would be involved in. We'll also get Mark's top moments of being an announcer for the Brewers and his first meeting with Bob Uecker. There's a lot of good, cool stories on this podcast.
Exactly.
We're glad you're here. If it's your first time, welcome. And if you've come back, that means even more. Now, if it is your first time, there's a whole back catalog of episodes to listen to carry you through your new year and your Christmas shopping and standing in line. I can help you out here.
Put in your earbuds and play it on the phone, right?
That's exactly right. Okay. So without further ado, this is from the Milwaukee Brewers, Mark Richards. Mark Richards, welcome to the Fancounters Celebrity Podcast. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much, Nick. Nice to be here with you today.
Good. Now, we talked about this in our opening, Tracy and I, but you have one of the coolest jobs ever. In fact, you have only one of 30 positions is filled by you, and that would be the PA announcer for a Major League Baseball team for the Milwaukee Brewers, our hometown team.
That's true.
So how did you get involved with the Brewers? Tell us a little bit about the story about taking over for another legend, Rob Edwards, who was our PA announcer since the old stadium.
Yeah, well, I think about that every once in a while. I'm one of only 3 guys that the ball club has had as a PA announcer over the past 40 some odd years. So not only is it, as you mentioned, Nick, not only is it one of only 30 jobs, on the planet. I'm only the 3rd guy who's done this over the past how many decades. So it makes it even more special when you look at it from that perspective too. So you want to know how I got the job?
Yes, sir.
Well, it'll be 2 years ago next month. It was December of 2018, and I was filling in at WKLH, where I also do some part-time radio work and fun stuff like that. Anyway, I was doing like I said, I was working there, I was filling in, and this one gal I worked with at the time walks up to me and says, "Hey, Mark, did you hear that the Brewers might be looking for a new PA announcer?" I said, "Are you serious?" She said, "Yeah, Rob is going to be retiring, and he wants to just do a handful of games next season. and they'll be looking for somebody. I thought you might be interested." Well, she thought right. I made a couple of phone calls and found out that yes, indeed, that Rob was going to be stepping down, and they were going to be looking for a new guy to do the PA work. And they told me the date that they were going to post the job, and it turned out to be January 7th, which is Serbian Orthodox Christmas. I'm Serbian, so here's how that day went. I went to church with my mom, went to Mom and Dad's with my family for Christmas dinner, got home, hopped on the computer, and started filling out the application. And submitted that, and a couple of weeks went by, and I'll be darned if I didn't get an email from the Brewers asking me to if I'd be interested in doing an interview, a phone interview with them. And naturally, I said yes, and we scheduled the time and did the interview. It was about 15, 20 minutes, just like I said, an initial phone interview. And a couple of weeks after that, I get another email from the Brewers, this time asking me if I could come in to the ballpark to do an audition. I was like, oh boy, this is getting real now. So
sure.
Yeah, no kidding.
So of course, we arranged a time and date, and they sent me the audition stuff, the stuff they wanted me to read.
Well, what did they want you to read? I'm so curious.
What did they want me to read? Yeah, it was. You might think it was like a couple of things to read. It was like 13 or 14 pages worth of stuff.
What?
I mean, oh yeah. They wanted some of the announcements that the PA guy normally does. I mean, the stuff you hear before the ball game.
Okay.
That sort of thing. Starting lineup for a hypothetical game between the Brewers and the St. Louis Cardinals, as a matter of fact, and a few other things. Again, scripts that you'd usually read after, at some point or another during the game.
Sure.
And they also had me do play-by-play on a sausage race.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was sitting in the booth, where I usually sit, and they showed the race on the scoreboard, and I just watched it and called the action. It's a little like doing a horse race. You just call it that way. And finished up the audition, and they said they'd be in touch. Well, sure enough, a couple of weeks after that, I get yet another email from the Brewers asking for a little additional information because they wanted to do a background check on me.
That's a good sign.
That's what I thought too. So I filled out that in, and then a couple of days later, they asked me to come in for a final audition. So I go to the ballpark on the date, and I'm met by one of the higher ups in the Brewers chain of command there, the vice president. I forget his exact title, but his name is Teddy Werner. And among Teddy's jobs is to kind of supervise some of the entertainment things that go on during the game and before the game and things like that. So he meets me in the lobby of the offices, and he walks me back up to the press box. And as we're walking in the concourse, and this is like, February, middle of February or something like that, he says to me, "I just thought you might want to know, you're the only one we called back for a second audition." And I stopped dead in my tracks, and I looked at him and I said, "What are you trying to say?" He says, "Well, we'd really like you as our new announcer."
Nice.
And I was like, I had to stop and catch my breath for a second, but we went in, and as it turned out, a couple of the other guys from the scoreboard crew were there, and Rob Edwards was there too. I guess Rob wanted to hear and make sure that his successor would be suitable, which is entirely fine, because if anybody knew what he was doing behind the mic, it was certainly Rob.
Yeah.
So they had me read a couple, a few more pages of the script and some other things, and I finished that up, and they looked at me and they said, "Well," I said, "Well, what?" "Would you like to be our new PA announcer?" And I stood there for a couple of seconds, and I said, "I'm thinking." They said, "What about?" I said, "I'm thinking of a word better than yes." And I can't come up with one. So, yeah, that's how I got the job.
What is rewarding about the work you do in radio and for the Milwaukee Brewers?
What's rewarding about it is it's fun. I mean, it's like any other job. I mean, if it's the expression, I guess, is if you have fun doing what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Well, it's true for radio, and some people might know I've been doing radio a long, long time, almost longer than I care to admit.
Well, and that's how you and I met.
Yes, that's correct. That's right. And it's just fun, and sitting there at the baseball games, knowing that you're part of the whole atmosphere and part of the game, really, that makes it rewarding too. I mean, when I say part of the game, nothing happens at a ball game until the announcer announces something. Like if a pinch hitter comes into the ball game, and this is a rule that came into play a couple of times during the playoffs. I noticed a pinch hitter is not officially in the game until the umpire gives a signal to the announcer, and the announcer announces him. So if you're watching a game, you'll see the umpire kind of turn around and point up at the press box, and that's when you announce the pinch hitter, and then he's officially in the game. Like if the Brewers are sending somebody to the plate, say it's Christian Yelich to pinch hit, you would announce now pinch hitting for the Brewers, number 22, Christian Yelich. Yelich pinch hitting for whoever he's been hitting for.
Yeah. Well, that was nice.
And then he's officially in the game. Yeah.
Have you ever missed it?
So,
have you ever been distracted where you don't see it?
No, because there's a couple of people in the press box sitting near me who will hey, or somebody will be yelling. I wear a headset too, so I can communicate with the scoreboard crew, because technically I'm part of the scoreboard crew, and I have to coordinate what I'm saying with what's happening on the scoreboard a lot of times. So somebody there catches, I think we got a pinch hitter coming up. Yeah, so-and-so for the Cardinals is coming in. Okay, so we get that confirmed, and then I'm able to announce it, because you got to announce it.
So do you have a button that switches between live feed in the stadium, in the stadium, and then the feed that you get that goes to the scoreboard or whoever you're communicating with?
Well, like I said, I have a headset on, and that's just continuously in my ear. I can hear everything, all the cues from the director and the producer and the scoreboard crew. Okay. So I know what's going on in case I have to read something. And then when I have to announce something to the stadium, I have a button I push and the mic's live in the bowl, as we say, and that's when you hear me.
This could go back to
be very careful to push the right button at the right time too.
I was just going to ask you about that. This could go back to your radio days, but have you ever been caught on a hot mic when you didn't mean to be?
No.
Really?
I can honestly say no. I'm very, very careful about that, because there's been a couple of things even this past season where people got caught saying things they shouldn't into a hot mic. Maybe you heard about the Tom Brenneman incident in Cincinnati, where he wasn't aware that he was on a hot mic, and he used a not so polite term for gay people, and he got in an awful lot of trouble for that.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
And and there's been a couple other incidents over the years as well. So I am very careful about that. I like my job. I want to keep it. So
yeah, for a long time.
Although I did come kind of close in 2019. I'll tell you what happened. The Brewers were playing. It was kind of late in the season. Might have been August, September, and the Brewers were playing the Cardinals. And it was not a good night for Milwaukee. I mean, the Brewers were behind by like 10 or 12 runs, something ridiculous like that. It's the bottom of the ninth inning. There's 2 outs, and I'm all set to announce the next Brewer batter. I don't even remember who it was. But then all of a sudden, a couple people say, wait a minute, a manager coming out. I'm like, and before I could announce the next batter, I thank God I didn't have the button pushed. I honest to God said, what the F, Put it this way.
That could have been your last day.
For most of the guys in the press box to hear what I said. Yeah. And everybody kind of laughed because, let's put it this way, they were all thinking it. I said it.
Yeah.
That was to this day, that was one of the most Bush things I've ever seen a big league manager do. I mean, come on, you got a 10-run lead. It's the bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, and now you're going to change pitchers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Seriously? I mean, afterwards, I guess in the press conference, somebody asked him about that. He said, well, the pitcher needed work. Two pitches he threw and the game was over. You got more. Yeah, you got more work warming up in the bullpen.
For sure.
No kidding.
What was it like for you to get used to being around everybody in the press box every day? Did it take a long time to build up that camaraderie with those that you would be working with? You know, what did they welcome you with open arms? I mean, when you have somebody in the booth like Rob, who's been there a very long time, how long did it take you to feel comfortable and others to feel comfortable with you?
Not too very long at all, honestly. The Brewers, the press box corps, the scoreboard crew, pretty much everybody involved, everybody at the ball club went out of their way to be nice, and I was humbled to get the job and humbled to be there. So once I got comfortable with them and they got comfortable with me, it just seemed like a natural fit. About a month into the season, I believe it was at a Sunday game. And up in the press box, they have a nice little dining room, and Sunday is usually Sunday brunch time. And I was waiting in line to get something to eat, and I was standing next to Brian Anderson, the Brewers TV play-by-play guy. And he asked me, "So, what do you think so far?" I said, "Man, this job's a dream come true, and everybody's just been so terrific and nice." He says, "Well, yeah, we try and do it. It's kind of like a family up here." And then he says to me, "Welcome to the family." And I was really, really touched by that. That was a nice thing for him to say. Yeah, so that's what it's like there, and everybody, like I said, everybody's just very accommodating, and it's been great. It really has.
Do you have interactions with the players at all? I mean, I know you're in the booth, but do you have any camaraderie with the team?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I didn't have much this past season with all the precautions they took, but I managed to meet a few of the ball players and got to know them, and because I go in and out of the ballpark pretty much usually using the same entrance that they do. They park in a different parking lot, but I got to get to the parking lot I park at the same way they go. So I got to meet and chat up a few of the guys, and some of the coaches as well. Ryan Braun was extremely nice. Ben Gamble was funny. I talked to him for a little while, and one or two others, and some of the coaches too. Ed Cedar is a funny guy. I guess he's not going to be coaching third base anymore. He's going to be, they say, taking on an advisory role. So we'll see how that plays out. But Ed's a funny guy. He's very nice, and during the Sunday games, they do a little thing with the sausage race, where it's kind of a relay race. They have kids dressed up as junior sausages, and when the big sausages round home plate, just before they get to the home dugout, they tag off to the little kids, and then the little kids finish the last 20, 30 yards of the race, whatever it is. And I noticed that before they do the sausage race, Cedar was always talking to the little kids. And I asked him what he was talking, what he says to them, and I thought, well, what's he doing? Maybe he's got a bet with somebody and he's trying to rig the race or something like that. It turns out what he's doing, he told me, he says, "I make sure they know which way to run."
Oh.
He says, because we've had some kids after the tag off, they start running back towards home plate or running out into center field or something like that. He says, "I like to make sure they know which way they're supposed to go."
Well, that's good.
I was like, okay, all right. So every time I watch it, you see a couple of the kids would start pointing. I said, okay, they got it. So that's what he was doing. So I'd always thought that was a cute story. I hope the next third base coach remembers to do that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get to interact with Bob Uecker at all? And if you do, what is that like for you?
I don't talk to Bob real often. I see him, practically every game. I mean, he's there. But I always think to myself, there's this, to me, he's a legend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He truly is. I mean, with the Brewers, I mean, he's, I guess in essence, been the face of the ball club. He's been identified with the team, for almost as long as the Brewers have been in Milwaukee. So
yeah, exactly.
I as I say, I see him, just about every game, and I kind of let him keep to himself, do his thing, because he's got enough people, I guess, looking for a little time with him, and I just, I'll say hi and that kind of thing, and once in a while I'll chat him up. But I remember one game during the 2019 season, and maybe you guys remember this too. It was early in May, the Brewers against the New York Mets, where Pete Alonso of the Mets, or Peter Alonso, don't say Peter, don't say Pete, it's Peter.
Uh-oh.
Peter Alonso of the Mets hits a home run to tie the game in the top of the ninth inning. And the game went into extra innings and kept going into innings and kept going. The game went 18 innings.
I remember that. I was watching that on TV.
Now you remember that one? Oh, I was there for every last every last swing of the bat, as it were. And, at the scoreboard crew, we start looking for, something to fill in between innings, because they build in a couple extra things to do, but when you get to 18 innings, it's like, oh, for goodness sakes, now what do we do? Well, in the sixth inning, middle of the sixth inning, that's when they do the sausage race. So, middle of the 12th inning, they decided to do another sausage race. And of course, I got to call the play-by-play on the sausage race, right? Then in the 14th inning, we decided to do another. We decided to do a stretch. You have your seventh inning stretch. So
sure.
7 innings later, how about a 14th inning stretch? Why not? Sure. So, and I had to introduce that. Time to get them up and stretch them out. Sing along with "Take Me Down to the Ball Game." And then the 18th inning rolled around. Let's do another sausage. So, called that one too, and thankfully the Brewers won the game in the 18th inning. But it was just so crazy. I mean, it was like a midnight, something like that, when the game finally finished up, and we had an afternoon game the next day, next day being Sunday, and I have to get to the ballpark like 2.5 hours, 2 hours at least before the ball game, just so I can, park the car, hike up to the press box, and we always have a little production meeting 2 hours before game time to the scoreboard crew. So it was one of those days like, everybody was, okay, go home, grab a shower, grab a nap, get up and go to the ballpark again. And I happened to see Bob up in the press box there. I said, boy, that was something else last night, 18 innings. He says, oh, yeah, sometimes those happen. What you going to do? I said, yeah, but, at least you got a little time off between innings. I was there for everything. And then I had to call 3 sausage races. I felt like the track announcer at Churchill Downs. He thought that was pretty good. And I'll tell you about the first time I met him, too. That's kind of a cute story. It was early in the season, and I got to the ballpark, and I get on the elevator, service elevator that takes you up to the it's the loge level, the 200 level. That's where the press box is. So I get on the service elevator, and Bob Uecker steps on. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, geez, I haven't really introduced myself yet. Okay, well, I will. We get off the elevator and we start walking to the press box. And keep in mind, Bob's got he's got a couple guys with him at all times when he's walking around, just to keep him from getting overrun by people who want to meet him, that kind of thing.
You're talking like security people?
Yeah,
okay.
Just a couple of guys, and it's otherwise the poor guy will take him an hour to get from the elevator to the the entrance to the press box or something like that. So anyway, I just, as I said, we're both walking in the same destination, same direction. And I just turned around and said, Bob, hi, I'm Mark Richards. I'm the new PA announcer. And he's like, oh, yeah, I know who you are. Yeah, nice to meet you. He says, hey, you sound great. I looked at him and I said, thank you. And then I thought for a second, I said to him, yeah, and so do you.
How did you react to that?
He got a laugh out of that one, too, so I thought that was okay.
You can't be in radio all those years and not have that kind of personality to give you some good comebacks.
Well, I've been told that. I guess after all this time, I can think on my feet in a lot of situations. So, that's it comes in handy sometimes. Yes, it does.
Now, I know you have a lot to voice at games, but there's also a lot of in-game music and walk-up music and all of that. Do you have anything to do with hitting those buttons, or is that some totally different department?
No, that's like I said, that's part of the scoreboard crew. And you got to understand, when I say the scoreboard crew, it's not just a handful of people. I mean, when there's a regular game, it's like any other television production. If you've ever been behind the scenes of a TV show, like a TV news show at any one of the local stations here,
Yep.
it's quite a crew, and probably a little more so with the ballpark, because not only are we talking about the video presentations on the board, but also the just maintaining the scoreboard, making sure that the ball and strike count is correct, and making sure that all the stats that are posted for the individual players are up to date. And those stats are up to the minute. So it's so that's part of it too. And the guy who does all the music, he's got his own. That's his job, and he kind of coordinates between him playing some recorded music or what have you, and the organist, Dean Roscoe, when he gets to play a few bars of whatever he's got to play. So it's kind of funny. I'll sit and watch a ball game on TV or something, and I can kind of hear the chatter in the back of my mind, and I can hear Kyle. He's the guy who does the music. He'll be saying, "Okay, next foul is yours, Dean," or something like that. and if there's a foul ball, you'll hear Dean playing the music. So,
speaking of foul balls, having been in that press box, there are a ton of patchwork and dents in the wall from balls flying into the press box, and everybody seems to have their own story about how they almost got hit. Do you have one of your own?
It's not really gotten all that close for me. A couple of times a ball has come in my direction, but fallen just short of the press box. But one time, now, if you've been to the ball game, you know that in the fourth inning, bottom of the fourth, they have the junior announcer.
Yes.
And that serves a couple of purposes. Number one, it's a little sponsored thing, and random kid from the crowd gets picked to go on the PA and announce a couple of the players' names. And it also gives your regular announcer a chance to scoot over to the men's room.
Oh, is that put there on purpose halfway?
Yeah, I imagine it is. Yeah. So
I had a feeling he was going there with that.
Yeah, that's like I said, I appreciate it. And I got it timed down. I got 3 priorities when that happens. I go to the restroom, I grab something to drink, and if there's a hot dog left over, I'm gonna grab a hot dog too. So
everybody's got to have their priorities, right, Mark?
Oh, absolutely. And I got a story about a time where the junior announcer didn't happen. Anyway, that's why we have the junior announcer there, just to give me a little bit of a break. Otherwise, I'm there for the entire game. Like I said, the 18-inning game, I had no break after when we went into extra innings. So, you just gotta maintain and watch your liquid intake, I guess.
Tell us a story though where there almost wasn't one.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, it was good. And you think people don't pay attention to things that go on in a ball game? No, they pay attention to everything. Fourth inning, bottom of the fourth comes around, and I was also, okay, junior announcer time, great. I'm gonna step away. Now I have an assistant, a guy who kind of acts as my spotter, and to make sure that I'm announcing the right thing at the right time.
Okay.
And that sort of stuff. And because there's certain things that we do, like they have the home run leaderboard. Mm-hmm. I think the Wisconsin Lottery is the sponsor for that, and they make sure that I announce, okay, your current Brewer home run leader is so-and-so with X amount of home runs. They make sure that the script is correct, so I'm not reading the wrong thing. And they sit next to me, and they act as kind of a spotter too. They would be the ones that keep an eye out for a pitching change, somebody warming up in the bullpen, or a possible pinch hitter, somebody in the on-deck circle instead of the next guy in the batting order. Well, anyway, I said, okay, good. I'm going to make my usual little trip. Well, I'm at the bottom row, the bottommost row of the press box, and there's like 3 or 4 rows behind me. And I was just about to go up the steps that lead out of the press box and towards where the bathroom is, and all of a sudden my spotter that day, my assistant, starts yelling, "Mark, Mark!" And I turn around and somebody grabbed me. "Mark, somebody wants you." I turn around and I was like, "What?" "The kid, he's having stage fright. He's having a meltdown." So I had to run back in my seat, and there was a little time to put that headset back on. They're like, "Okay, I'm here. We got it covered." So they didn't even announce the kid. I guess he just all of a sudden started panicking and freaking out. He's in his mom's arms, and okay, so we just continued as if nothing happened. The show must go on. But the thing of it is, it's a sponsored segment. So if it's sponsored, if it's paid for, you got to do it.
Yeah.
So they found another kid, and we kind of rescheduled it for the 8th inning. Well, bottom of the 8th inning rolls around, and the Brewers, and I forget who they were playing. I mean, you watch 80-some games a season. After a while, you don't remember exactly who did what a lot of times. But anyway, Brewers staged a rally, and that was the day that Mike Moustakas, God bless him, hit the go-ahead home run, which hit the Toyota out in right field.
Okay.
Somebody won the car that day. You guys kind of remember that day now?
Yeah.
I remember hearing about it.
Yeah. So yeah, and Moustakas hits the home run, but the kid's still announcing the batters. And I'm still in the bathroom anyway. I still had to go. By the 8th inning, it was like, oh, this is push come to shove, thank goodness. But see, when that happens, there's also a script you have to read congratulating the winner of the car. Okay, and they do the quick drawing. They find out where the guy's sitting. They sprint, and it happened to be that he was in the mezzanine level, the 400 level. So it was a bit of a sprint to get up to the 400 level and find the seat and do the whole thing. And they got me the script I had to read. They told me the name of the winner, and like you said, seamless, like nothing happened. And the thing of it was somebody, I had to work at the radio station next day, and somebody asked me, "Hey, how come they didn't do the junior announcer till the 8th inning yesterday?" Like I said, you think people don't pay attention to the little stuff.
As Mark's eyes were floating.
You're right on that.
As your eyes were floating, right?
Well, it wasn't quite that bad, but it was just it's spontaneous. No two games are ever alike, and you just got to be. We can't be prepared for everything, but you got to just be. Let me rephrase it. You can't expect certain things to happen, but you got to be prepared when things go a little outside of the box.
So, Mark, I got a question for you. You're doing in the stadium announcing and stuff, and we know Bob Uecker is going to retire someday. Do you have any desire to take over for Bob when he retires?
Oh, I don't know. Let's just say I'm very happy doing what I do with the Brewers right now. So leave it at that.
Okay.
He's got a very cushy
and they
job.
have two very capable guys who handle play-by-play when Bob's not in the booth, and Lane Grindle and Jeff Levering. So those two guys they're very good, and like I say, I'm very happy doing what I do.
So were you there this year doing the announcing still with
Sure
no fans?
was.
Oh, you
Sure
were?
was.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us a little bit about the way that the whole season felt. I mean, none of us were there. So
my experience with that, I don't know if I want to get into that subject too much, but I will say this. I think everybody who was there, and I think most fans, were grateful that we had some kind of season, limited as it was. I mean, it's been a very, very unusual year, to say the least.
yes.
And I don't know if either of you guys play golf, but I wish we could have a mulligan starting on January 1st, 2020, but we all know that's not going to happen.
Yeah, no kidding.
But anyway, but just having baseball and having something resembling a season, I think everybody was just grateful for that in light of everything that went on this year. And hopefully I know I'm looking forward to an actual 162 game season in 2021, and I'm just praying that does happen. But I think under the circumstances, the Brewers and all of Major League Baseball really did as good a job as could be expected under the circumstances. And I think having some of the crowd noise piped in helped somewhat. At least it sort of sounded and felt like you were at an actual baseball game. I mean, looking around in the stands and seeing practically nobody sitting there.
Right.
Yeah, certainly that was different.
Maybe.
And the one other different thing was whenever there was a fly ball hit into the stands, actually hearing it hit the chairs, the seats.
maybe
all of a sudden you hear this bang, pop. What the?
Maybe the baseball stadiums can do what the wrestling industry is doing and have little TV screens in the seats for people, and people can pay for their their spot in the TV seat, and then they can watch the game from their seat from that television.
Yeah. Oh, gee, that'd be a good idea. Yeah. Well, I think they kind of did that with the NBA and with the backgrounds and stuff like that. Again, I'm just I know I'm looking forward to having people back in the ballpark, because while the game was essentially the same, the atmosphere was very different. I mean, crowds in the stands. Nobody's selling things in the ballpark. Yeah. There was no lines for hot dogs or beer or anything like that. And when you think about it too, all the people who work at the ballpark on game day, we're talking a lot of people, hundreds and hundreds of people working at Miller Park. The ushers, the people manning the concession stands, the other vendors, cooks, heck, the cleanup crew. That's nobody was there this year. Just very different. But again, we're grateful we had the season we had. I mean, it could have been. I can't imagine going an entire summer without any baseball.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
So
I'm hoping we get back to regular. I'm hoping we get back to regular baseball again this year, because that's what, like you said, going to the stadium and the Brewers get a home run, or the Brewers are rallying and getting base runners, and everybody's slapping each other five and screaming and yelling and having a good old time. It just doesn't feel the same watching it from home.
It's different. I mean, being there and watching it at home, it's two entirely different experiences, and I hope we can get folks back at the ballpark come next year. I know I'm planning on it, and I hope everybody else is too.
We're planning on it. We hope we don't have to take a mulligan in 2021 January. So
oh boy.
You know what I did get?
The gods here, Nick.
You know what I did get in the mail the other day? I got my voucher for my opening day tickets.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Because you didn't get a refund last year.
Right, because I went. I had gotten tickets through Associated Bank, and when they didn't have opening day, they said they're going to give me something for next year. Well, the other day I got a delivery, special delivery came to the house, and I opened it up. And I'm like, oh yeah, 2021 opening day. Here we come.
Hope it happens. What's been your most memorable moment so far when you think about your time at Miller Park? Do you have one moment that stands out to you as, wow, this was it? Maybe it was the first time in the booth. Maybe it was something else.
You hit the nail on the head. My first game, April 5th, 2019. Amazing how I remember the day, don't you think?
Yeah.
And it was the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah.
And the Brewers won. And my brother, who lives up near Green Bay, he called me the next day or something like that, and he's like, well, how'd it go? I said, oh man, like it was a dream come true. I was sitting there, and I got to tell you, I do this every game. I pinch myself, thinking to myself, I'm really here. I'm really sitting I'm really put the microphone in front of me, and I'm not dreaming. This really happened. And my brother Steve says to me, man, did you save your scorecard? I said, damn it, no, I didn't. I should have had.
Man, you should have framed that sucker.
That's what I should have done. And I wish I would have, but unfortunately I did not. But I do have a couple of pictures and things from that night, and it was very special and very memorable. That's probably that one. And gosh, probably that screwy 18-inning game. That's one that sticks out in my mind as well. So those are probably the big two right there. But yeah, that very first game. In fact, a friend of mine on Facebook last April, and when all this stuff first started happening, and we were canceling things left and right, and he threw this little thing out. That was his top 5 biggest sports memories, and he says, anybody wants to do theirs? I said, well, God darn it, that sounds like a good idea. So I put my list together, and let's see, number 5 was my first baseball game ever, big league baseball game. It was back in 68 or 69 when the Chicago White Sox played a handful of games at County Stadium every year.
Yep.
And my dad got tickets for us to go to the White Sox and the Boston Red Sox. That was my first big league game. That's my number 5 memory. My number 4 memory was my first Packer game, also at County Stadium in 1967. Packers and the Minnesota Vikings. Number 3 was I was at Ben Sheets. What was it? The 18 strikeout game.
Mm-hmm.
It was me, my wife, my son, and one of my nephews. We went to the game, and Sheets. I never saw anybody before or since pitch as good a game as Ben Sheets did that day. He was absolutely on fire. His fastball was checking in at 94 miles an hour in the first inning or so. In the 8th inning, he was chucking it up there at 96 miles an hour.
Wow.
And, I couldn't believe that when I saw it either. And his curveball was the nastiest, most wicked, filthy thing I've ever seen anybody throw. When he was healthy, he had a great, he of course was a power thrower, but he had a great curveball too. And that was his strikeout pitch. I mean, you saw guys just swinging at the ball like they were trying to swat flies with a pool noodle, you know? It was just, it was something else, man. That's number 3. Number 2 was in 1991. My brother and I went to Atlantic City to see the Evander Holyfield George Foreman heavyweight boxing match.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was something else. I mean, Steve had gone a couple of years before to a match. I think it was the Mike Tyson Michael Spinks fight, the 90-second knockout. We got our money's worth that night when we saw Holyfield and Foreman. It was terrific. The whole experience was something else. And just seeing some of the celebrities walking around there, everybody from Kevin Costner to Muhammad Ali. I think we took a cab to the arena, to the convention center where the fight was, and I think our cab driver got in the wrong line. He got in the celebrities limousine line. Oh, nice. So my brother and I get out the cab, and people are clapping for us and cheering for us, and we're waving at the crowd. We didn't care. We go in and to give our tickets to the ticket taker, and Robert Duvall is in line ahead of us, asking an usher where his seats are. I remember that. We're watching some of the preliminaries, and my brother goes to get a beer, and he comes back, hands me my beer, and sticks his hand out and says, "Shake this hand." I shook his hand. He says, "You just shook the hand that shook Bill Walton's hand out there."
Wow.
So that was quite an experience. And like I said, my number 1 memory is my first night as an announcer at Miller Park.
I'm gonna have to sit down and do that. I've seen a lot of good baseball games in my lifetime.
Yeah.
I got to think about what memorable things that they were. But
have you hit every stadium yet?
I have, yeah.
All of
them? Okay.
Have you really?
I have. I have seen them all. I had tickets to opening day Texas Rangers this year for the new ballpark. Obviously, that did not happen. In fact, I had a T-shirt, and on the back, it was like a concert tour T-shirt. I put what year it was and what stadium I visited. And I have 2020 upstairs sitting there, Texas Rangers, and unfortunately it's a lie because it didn't happen. So I do have to get down to Texas now for the new stadium. But yeah, I've seen every single one. In fact, I finished it up last year with 2019 in Oakland, and it was actually Trent Grisham's first game. And after the game, he came down to where we were sitting because his family was sitting the next section over from us. And I had my 7-year-old daughters there. I'm like, you got to get this guy. Well, and plus we had gotten a ball. And so from that game, a foul ball. And I told my daughters, I'm like, we have got to get him to sign this ball. And Trent was the awesomest guy. He's just like, this is my family. I'll be with you in a minute. The usher didn't kick us out because, Trent had acknowledged us. We had our Brewer jerseys on. And after he's done with his family, comes over, takes pictures with my girls, signs the ball. So I have a ball from his first game ever. And
very cool.
Broke my heart when they traded him away.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the baseball business, what you're going to do.
Right.
And so you've seen them all. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What is your favorite ballpark that you visited, and what is your least favorite?
The least favorite was Old Shea Stadium. That was
you were there.
That was horrible. Well, I've been to both, yeah, but that was absolutely the worst stadium I had ever visited because not only were the seats narrow and the rows were really narrow, they actually had like these weird bars that came up every I don't know. It was hard. Like you couldn't just walk through all the rows in the lower bowl. It was, I don't know what was going on. I don't know what was going on there. But so that was my least favorite of all of the current stadiums. Boy, I can't. People hate Tampa Bay, and I don't know why. I like Tampa's Dome. My favorite stadium, though, easily was San Francisco. Love that ballpark. In Kansas City was actually a favorite. I know it's an
Candlestick?
No, Kansas City Royals.
No, you said San Francisco.
Oh, the PNC Park, or I don't even know what it's called these days.
The new one.
The new one.
AT&T Park or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's San Francisco's ballpark. Yeah.
Loved that stadium.
Right there in the water. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't been to as many as you. Obviously, I've been to a handful. And Old Comiskey was kind of cool, just because it was old. I mean, you're sitting there watching and thinking to yourself, God, all the ball players that came through this place over the years. That's crazy. The one ballpark I remember as being not so nice was Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh.
Never made it there either.
I went to college in Pittsburgh. In fact, this is how old I am. My senior year at Duquesne University in Pittsburgh, that was the year that the Pirates won the World Series.
1971. Oh, 9.
79.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Not 1960 for crying
No,
out
I
loud.
said I thought it was 71. Not.
No. Anyway, no, it was my senior year. That was the year. Dave Parker, Willie Stargell, Phil Garner, former Brewers manager, was their second baseman, and they had a great ball club that year. But they played at Three Rivers Stadium, which was a terrible place to watch baseball. It was one of those old cookie cutter stadiums. It wasn't bad for football. I did see a couple of Steelers games there, but for baseball, first of all, it felt like you were a mile away from the playing field because the seats were kind of elevated all over the place, and they had the artificial turf, and they had they didn't even have proper dugouts. They had benches on either side, near.
Yeah, I remember seeing video of that. Yeah,
with like a roof over the benches. I said, that's not even a dugout. This doesn't even feel like a baseball park, But that's where they played until they. Until they built their current ballpark, PNC Ballpark, which, from what I hear,
it's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. Yeah.
That Three Rivers looked a lot like Synergy Field where the Reds used to play, where it was a totally encompassed circle stadium with artificial turf.
And looked a lot like Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia.
You got it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Yeah. So you've had a very long career in radio and as a radio DJ, you do a lot of appearances and stuff like that. And now with the Brewers, the work you do with the Brewers, have you ever had any kind of encounters with fans that you that you could share with us?
I can go back to my days at FM 106.1 when I was doing country radio. A lot of times people were looking for freebies or handouts or things like that, and it was like, no, I can't just give the stuff away. This is for prizes and things like that. But not too many creepy fans. I mean, they weren't interested in me. They wanted to, try and get backstage to to meet the artists, to meet the bands and that kind of thing. Although I do have a nice story. Everybody wants to hear the weirdo stories. I got a nice story.
Okay.
One year at Country Thunder, the big country music festival that happens every year down in Twin Lakes, I was giving away seat upgrades. And what the thing was, I had a couple seats down in the seated section, like the VIP section.
Yep.
And what I was going to do was give them away was just give them to a fan. First fan I felt like seeing, just give these seats away. And I saw this young couple, college age fella and a girl, and they were kind of they had a lawn chair getting situated in a blanket. And I said, "Hi, how you guys doing?" They said, "Oh, good." I introduced myself. Hi, I'm Mark from F106.1. And, "Oh, hi, yeah, we listen to you guys. Yeah, oh, okay, great. You just got lawn seats tonight?" "Yeah." And we had 2 lawn chairs, but one of them just broke. We had to throw it away. It was so beat up. I said, "Oh no. Man, that's too bad." "How would you guys like to go up front and sit in the seated section a little closer to the action?" And their eyes got big as I thought, you could do that? I said, "Yeah, here you go." And I handed them the 2 tickets. They're like, "Oh my gosh, they were lost for words. And they were just very grateful and couldn't thank me enough. Well, about 6-8 months later, there was another country show at the Bradley Center. I don't even remember what concert it was. And I was walking through the lobby, and that same couple walks up and says, Mark, do you remember us?" And I didn't right away. And they said, "Country Thunder, you upgraded our seats. We just wanted to say thanks again." I was like, "You got to be kidding."
That's very cool.
That they were nice enough to remember that and thank me. Sometimes cool things happen. That's the stuff I like to remember, not the
and that goes
weirdo crazy stalkers or anything like that. But
I also worked in radio. That's how I met Tracy.
Yep.
And I just, when I worked overnights a lot when I first started, and that was when the weirdest people would call in and ask you to play songs or just chat with you, and that was a lot of weird times for me. Did you have people I don't know if you ever worked the overnight, but did you have instances where the same people would call in and you just kind of felt like when that phone rang, you're like, "Oh crap, please don't be Sally," or whatever?
Yeah, there's been a few, shall we say, regulars over the years that you just, as soon as you hear the voice, it's like, "Oh, please, God, why me? Why me? Why me?" And you just do your best to like, oh, that's great, and try and get through the call as best you can, and then just move on and think, okay, that's over with. Now back to business here.
There we go.
So
that's funny.
But yeah, it happens.
You've had a great career, Mark, and we're very proud to have you as our PA announcer of the Milwaukee Brewers. So
absolutely.
If our listeners come to town to see some baseball, you're going to be a familiar voice to them. And we appreciate your time here on the show.
Thank you, guys. It's nice of you to ask me, and I will look forward to hearing the podcast when it's all put together and everything, and maybe we can do this again sometime.
That'd be great. Yep,
awesome.
Especially once we get closer to baseball, we'd love to have you back.
Yes.
Oh, love to do it. Absolutely. You know where to find me.
Our thanks to Mark Richards for joining us on the show this week. Tracy, thanks again for bringing him along.
You're welcome, man. It was a great interview. It was a good time to have him.
This was actually a year and a half in the making because it was the end of the 2019 baseball season where we had a conversation with him at Miller Park about doing this show.
Exactly.
And it's taken this long to make it happen.
Yeah. Hey, good things come to those who wait, right?
Yeah. Now, the one thing I wanted to talk about just really quick before we go, Tracy, is the baseball season this year. He was a little reluctant to want to talk about it. I'm sure it's very hard because it's such a odd season. You don't really know what went on behind the scenes, but I can say this. Major League Baseball sort of lost me a little bit this year because I don't like to think that I'm replaceable, not only on the show, but in life. And I was a little taken back when baseball put in fake fans in the stands.
Yeah.
Digital fans. I didn't mind the cardboard cutouts. That was a cute idea. But I was very much offended by the fake crowd noise.
Yeah, that's kind of...
I felt like it was an insult to me as a fan. It insulted my intelligence because we knew that there weren't fans in the stadium.
Correct.
So why do you have to make it sound like there are? And if it was for the players, I'll take that. I'll accept the fact that they're trying to cover up the noise of the conversations on the field and that sort of thing. Like, I get that. But to over pump that noise into the broadcasts, me...
Kind of like when we talked about with Mark about, they're doing an idea of putting TV screens there and have fans actually there and can, watch and make noise and all that stuff, like kind of like wrestling industry did,
Yeah, I never saw that, so I wasn't quite sure what you're talking about, and I'm going to look that up after the show. But I don't want to know that I'm replaceable at a ballpark, and if you're going to recreate me where I don't have to spend my money there, I might not spend my money there.
Well, you still spend your money there because you pay for the TV screen because you're paying for a seat.
No, I get that, but I'm talking in general with how things went this year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If it's going to happen again next year or, I just don't know.
We got to get back to baseball and being in person.
That will help a lot.
Yeah.
Like I told you when you came in today, I said, I'm not sure and I'm the world's biggest baseball fan, world's biggest Brewers fan, for real. And I hope that I can get back into it.
Yeah.
This year just didn't feel right, but a lot of things haven't felt right.
Hey, the first good sign, like I told you before, was getting that envelope with my voucher for my opening day tickets.
True.
That gave me hope.
It does give me a lot of hope. Before we go this week, it's time for everybody's favorite segment.
How about some free advertising? Here is this week's podcast plug.
And on this week's podcast plug, I've got a show out of Minnesota joining me. It's called The DK Project, otherwise known as The Darren Show. It's basically a radio show without being on the radio. And we are joined right now by Darren. Darren, how's it going?
Hey, man, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So you are hosting The DK Project with a guy, which I kind of thought was like a funny made-up name, but you call him Sergeant Schweitzer. Is that right?
Sergeant Schweitzer, yeah, he's a real sergeant. That's the real deal right there.
Oh, he is?
You can't make names like that up. That's no. That's legit. He was a sergeant in the Army, and he is hardcore American right there.
Tell us a little bit about the DK Project, how it started, what it's about. Give me the info.
Well, the DK Project started off as a movie. My brother-in-law and I we met when we were like 8. And I ended up hooking him up with my sister, or my wife's sister. So now he's my brother-in-law. But we've seen some things and done some things along the way that have just been absolutely chaotic. And the stories are just endless. So we started putting this movie together, and it really we figured out that we're probably never going to be movie writers, and it's never going to get off the ground. So I had done a short stint on the radio with a morning show for a while, and ended up deciding to do my own podcast. I said, let's get off the radio and let's do a podcast, and we'll convert this movie idea into a show where he and I, just get together, go over what's going on and current events, and then we talk a little bit about this, that, and the other thing, and it always spirals into something comedy based, and that's really what we're doing. Is I wanted to do a morning radio show that's very, very comedy driven. Obviously without the music, mm-hmm. and it worked out. We work well together and work well off of each other. We like to mix it up a little bit because we're going to be going to 2 to 3 shows a week now.
Fabulous.
With the project, and it's basically going to be a morning show, and people can tune in and hear current events. And it was probably recorded that morning and put out by midday, and good drive time music. Our music, drive time
entertainment without it,
so that you don't have to listen to music.
Right.
But yeah, it's just been a blast, and I've done some we do some interviews, and we do, have guests in from time to time. I've had some pretty big comedians in, and some actors. It's really been a lot of fun, and we really never got into it to, compete with Howard Stern. We got into it to just have fun, and we've been succeeding at that. We're having fun every day. I'll throw a podcast away if it's not, funny and up to the standards I'm looking for. I'll just, crap the whole thing and start over, which doesn't always make everybody happy, but in the end, it's about what you're putting out there, and putting out crap is wasting time.
Well, and it's also turning the listeners away. I mean, they're only going to listen for so long, and if you are putting out a product that's not up to standards or just not funny, they're going to move on to something else and not come back.
There's only 1,600,000 competitors to my show.
Yeah.
They have options. So, your acquisition or getting a listener to come over to you and then keeping them is crucial. And anything you do to, if your sound quality is low, if you're, whatever, and they leave, they ain't coming back.
That's right.
It's not like a radio position where they may happen to spin across you down the road. Once they leave, they're not coming back. So it's a struggle, and I'm sure you guys look at it too. We're like, how do we get more listeners? How do we get more listeners? But then you got to figure out how do we keep them. That's the challenge. Because if it's good, they'll talk about it, and word will spread. We've been on for about it'll be 2 years in January, and I just recorded the 129th episode, and we've got a pretty substantial following. We get some listener comments and some letters, and people tell us what they think, and voicemails and whatnot, and it's good because that means they're listening and they're giving you feedback because they care and they want to clean up what you're doing, or obviously some people are crazy about their suggestions or recommendations, but we take all the criticism as well as the praise. Do
you have a website for the show you want to throw out there, or some social media links?
Do. The DK Project Podcast is DKProjectPodcast.com is the website, and then anything social media, it's all the DK Project Pod or DK Project Podcast. If you know how to look on there, you'll find us. We're trying to keep things fresh, but we do send out a post every time we put a show together, and there's links on there for however you get it, iHeartRadio, Spotify, whatever it is. And there's a link right on there where you can access it directly into your device and what your preference is for playing it. And, all we ask is that you tell a friend and give us a review and, keep spreading the word. That's how this thing grows. Just like, we're talking here, it's word of mouth and people spreading the word that gets it done. So that's what we're asking is just, subscribe and tell a friend and let them know that it made you laugh, and they'll jump. They always do.
Well, we are going to link to you on our notes, and our fans can go look for you. So thanks so much for joining us on Fancounters, and good luck.
Thanks a lot.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Join us again next week when we have another celebrity guest joining us. This one is themed for Christmas, so it will get you in the Christmas mood because he's in a major Christmas movie, one of the most popular movies of all time, and that's all I'm going to tell you. So until next week, we will talk to you later.
Bye.